In a lot of my recent conversations in regard to pro-life versus pro-choice, a lot of pro-choice people have argued with me saying that abstinence clearly doesn't work. So I wanted to delve into more the why practice abstinence outside of what they're teaching in school, because clearly what they're teaching in school is not working. So not having sex outside of marriage is about a heck of a lot more than not getting an STI or getting pregnant. So, first, understanding who God is essential. So, God is within himself love. So, there was the Father and his only begotten Son, and then the bond between them, that love was so strong that it produced a third person. So, just like we are mind, body, spirit entities, and that's all encompassed into one, God is very similar to that, only on an exponential level. So then we have God created man in his image, where he created a man and a woman. And then that bond, that love can be so strong that it can produce a third being a child. So why does that love have to be within a marriage? Essentially, the entire Bible is about marriage. You know, we start in Genesis, we see Adam and Eve, we go all throughout the Bible where we talk about God and his bride and how the love for the church is like the bride and his bridegroom, and then all the way through Revelation where it's talking about the wedding of the Lamb. And with this, we get, John Paul II's spousal meaning of the body, where we actually, our body is a gift to our spouse. So we have, when a woman has sex for the first time, she actually bleeds. And blood is known throughout the entire Bible as a sign of a major covenant. And essentially it signifies the life from which the blood comes. So, when we get married, there is a death to self. It's saying, I no longer live for myself, I live for you, I live for my family, on both ends. But, similar to like when a priest is ordained, he dies to self. So with this vocation, there is a death to self. In Catholicism, we have confession, which is the renewal of the baptismal promise, which is also known as the nuptial bath, which essentially then the Eucharist is the consummation of that. So when I converted Catholic, I had taken the Eucharist once prior to being confirmed, like before I even decided to convert, because I was convinced that it was the body and blood of Christ. I was willing to submit to whatever the teachings were, but when I decided I wanted to, and prayed very much about it, it changed every dynamic of the Mass for me. And it was from there that I decided that I wanted to become Catholic. The only thing I don't like about this is that I remember walking away and kind of meditating on it afterwards, and it sort of felt like premarital sex, because with the Eucharist being consummation, I didn't go through confession and confirmation before receiving that, becoming one flesh with God through his body and blood there. So, sex, or the marital embrace, is actually the renewal of our marital promise. So when the marital embrace is pursued, it's actually a renewal of the vows that we took on our wedding day. So just as we become one flesh in the Eucharist, we become one flesh in our marriage. And actually, in the Jewish marital customs, the bride would bathe prior to seeing the groom, and be adorned and everything. So it kind of ties those two together, where we're bathing, we're renewing ourselves, and then how are we continuing that? So then Christopher West, he does a lot of, explanations of theology of the body. We got this book, The Good News About Sex and Marriage, in our wedding prep class. And he draws this analogy about if we have a car and it's called for unleaded gas, if we were to fill it with diesel gas, and avoid the warning that's there, we would be essentially sabotaging our car. And that sticker that tells us that it's made for unleaded gas, the creator of the car put it there. And it's not meant to limit our freedom, but it's rather meant to facilitate our freedom in making good choices. So in John, it talks about how the truth sets us free. It's not about, oh, well, I have to determine what's right for me, and I have to determine what's good and evil for myself. No, we have a higher power to submit to, because we are created in God's image. We are created for a purpose. And by following through with pursuing this love, because God himself is love, and we can experience this trueness of love in the marital embrace, in a marriage, that's what our purpose is. Like, I mean, Christopher West and John Paul II, they talk about how our sexual identity is really like any discord about what our sexual purpose is really questioning what our purpose in life is all about, because as man and woman come together, we do reflect God. So just, knowing that, there's another thing. My dad, growing up, he had always told me that men want to date a promiscuous girl, but they want to marry a virgin. So this whole concept that men use love for sex and women use sex for love. So I was a very promiscuous young adult when I was 18, 19, 20. I definitely used sex for love. I would sleep with people and want them to love me, and relationship would end after a month and I'd go on to the next one. And it just, I'm embarrassed of my past now. People that know me just can't even picture me that way. But it's the truth about where I've been, and it got me to where I was, but I would not recommend it for someone else. Like, please learn from my experiences. And then men using love for sex. So in some of those situations, I was absolutely crazy about the guy and I wanted to marry him, and he was telling me how he loved me and he wanted to marry me too. We slept together. He cheated on me. This was my first serious boyfriend. So, we can say, like, oh, I love this person, I want to marry him, and he loves me too, and he wants to marry me. But at the end of the day, you're not married. And there's not any commitment. There's not we haven't gone through the vows. We haven't done our confirmation prior to the consummation of what it is that we're pursuing. So God bless you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep on with the faith. I just really want to encourage you, if you do know somebody, I am praying the rosary every morning at 6 a.m. during the week on my Facebook page, live for you to join. And it's the scriptural rosary, so we're kind of reading through everything in for pro-life, for saving, this culture of death into the culture of life that we have. And I just want to encourage you to join me there if you'd like. And I will see you guys again next week Sunday, if not sooner. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in.